Life is so simple, people just overcomplicate the shit out of it. The only complicating thing about life is not knowing what you want. Once you know what you want in this life, then all that's required is just doing the work. It's just doing the work consistently over a prolonged period of time until you get that result. I understand, people when they don't know what they want, because for the longest time, I didn't know what I want. And to be honest, I still don't know exactly what I want. But as you start taking steps, as you start taking action, it becomes clearer to you what it is that you like and what it is that you dislike. For example, for the longest time, I had no idea what I wanted to do career-wise. Why? Because there are so many careers. But if I just sat there in my room and I was just, thinking, oh, I wonder what I want to be, maybe a firefighter, maybe an astronaut, then the answer would never come to me. It was only when I started doing different things, started doing different careers, started doing different jobs, was when I realized I cannot sit in front of a effing computer for 10 to 12 hours a day because I'm going to shoot my brains off. I need to use my hands to finnick and play with things. And I need to do something that requires high focus, high attention. And then that's when you can start playing with ideas and start narrowing it down. Now I've, made a decision to apply to dental school and pursue that because that's kind of what sits and aligns with what I want to do and how I see myself spending my time. But I would never come to that decision if I didn't try different things and just listen to what people told me. Right? So don't feel scared, I would tell to my younger self, not knowing what you don't want. Feel scared if you don't know what you want, but are doing nothing about it. And doing and actually fighting for something is the only thing that matters. Because at least if you die at the end of the day, which we all will at some point of our life, you will have that reassurance that, okay, you've tried everything. You've, put the effort and intention into getting set goal or set thing. This is once, starting out, like, you don't know what you want, you try different things, you know what you want. But once you know what you want, it's your responsibility to fight for what you want. To learn, to fail, to try new things, to try new endeavors, to, approach different girls. Because if you don't fight for what you want in this world, nobody's going to hand it to you. And I'm going to be here and tell you specifically that once you reach a certain age, especially as a man, good luck. Because nobody's just out on the streets, handing out opportunities. You've got to create the opportunities, number one, for yourself, but also chase the things that you want out of this life. Like, for example, when I was pursuing this girl that I really, really liked around, 7 years ago, she friend zoned me at first. She's like, no, I don't want this guy. What the hell's wrong with, no. But I knew deep in my heart that I wanted her, and I kept fighting for her, kept fighting for her. And then what ended up happening? Eventually, I got her. Because if you don't fight for the things that you want in this life, they're just going to keep passing you away like opportunities. And then one day you're going to die and you're going to stand in front of God and be like, why didn't you give me anything that I wanted? I prayed for all these things, I asked for all these things. And he's like, going to stand at you and look at you so deep into your soul and going to be like, do you know how many opportunities I gave you that you left just to fly away? It's like that one parable or saying that goes, okay, a man, this is actually a very good one. I might butcher it, so give me maybe 3 to 5 couple seconds just to really clear it out for you guys, because it's really going to give you a different perspective on your life and on your mind. There was a man at sea, and he was drowning, and he was basically floating in the water, and a boat comes by. He's like, hey man, you need some help? It looks like you're struggling. The waves are pretty big. You're gonna sink. No, and then the guy in the water struggling and drowning says, no, I've put my trust and faith into God. He's going to save me from this. I'm not going to drown. Don't worry. And then another boat comes by an hour later. Hey man, do you need help? Like, let's rescue you out of this water. And then the guy says, no, I've been praying for an hour. God's gonna answer my prayers in a second. He wouldn't ever let me drown. And then last time, a third boat comes by to save the guy. Hey man, do you need help? And this guy's like struggling. He's like, I'm struggling. I can't breathe. But no, God's gonna save me. God's gonna be there for me. And then the boat goes away because he refused the help of the three people. And 5 minutes later, he drowns and dies and sees God and asks him, what's wrong with you? You didn't help me. And then God says to him, I sent you 3 opportunities and you just spat in my face because you were so arrogant. Obviously, he's probably not going to say something like that, but you get the picture. And this parable always reminds me to explore and have your mind open to the opportunities that God's giving you, because you might be asking for or praying for, oh, I want to be in a relationship. Yeah, how are you going to be in a relationship if you're just sitting in your basement playing video games and not putting yourself out there, not making yourself more attractive, not practicing your social skills, not leveling yourself up financially and physically and mentally in order to, attract a mate? Or, oh, I want a 6-pack. Do you? Do you really want a 6-pack? God's giving you opportunities where, coaches are sending you messages, giving you calls. You're seeing all these things on Instagram. You have ChatGPT now where you can, learn and do everything. You're just lazy and you don't want to do the work. You don't want to fight for what you want. Everybody subconsciously knows what they want, or at least at a baseline minimal level. You want to be the healthiest version of yourself. You want to be the most disciplined spiritual version of yourself. You want to be as close to God as possible. You might not know the exact career that you want to do, but at least you're willing to take steps. And now it's just about doing the work. Do it so that in the process of doing all these different things, trying and fighting for what you want out of this life, whether it's money, women, fame, or a business or a 6-pack, in that fight, in that process, you become who you are intended to be through all these failures, through all these trials, through all these painful, suffering moments. But everybody sees it as, oh, God hates me. He's putting me through all this suffering. It's easy to play the victim. Oh, woe is me. But if you just stay through that suffering, stay through that fight, stay through that uncertainty, the clarity eventually comes out. And then you look back only maybe, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 years later. And then you go back to that moment and be like, oh, now I understand. And if you have a great relationship with God, then you understand why God put you through that. And it was only to help you grow into the individual, or help you grow into the clarified person who knows what he wants. For the longest time, like when it came to, my career, like my parents would always tell me, oh, you got to become a dentist. You got to become a doctor. You got to become this, you got to become that. And I would never listen to them because I wanted to pick my own path. I wanted to pick my own way. And let me tell you, I'm happy that I did, because now I've made a decision based on my own life experiences. I've tried different jobs. I've worked construction. I've worked landscaping. I've worked sales. Like, I've worked blue collar and white collar. And now, kind of envisioning a future as in what I want to do through the things and through the different jobs and through the different experiences that I've had, now I can say, okay, now I know what I want. Now I can at least, maybe not exactly what I want, because what you want and you as a person are always going to change from the time that I'm 20 to 30. Now I'm just ambitious as fuck, and I want to become a dentist and open up 10 clinics, work 1 or 2 days a week and manage the rest, because I like business, I like managing people and whatnot. But maybe that might change when I'm 30 and I'm just like, you know what, screw this. I just want to own my one practice and do something else. Or maybe, you know, sell the practice and own a cafe shop. But at least work on what you know now. Like work on like your intuitions, your thoughts and your feelings that are coming to you at this moment. Because like that's the best way to, you know, kind of project yourself into that future version of you who's screaming at you, do this and don't do this, or like take this path and don't take this path. It's super simple. Like life is actually so simple when you look at it. It's just we spend so much time on social media comparing our lives to other people's lives. We spend so much time on the internet with all this media and information, and it's just being fed to us what is wrong and what is right. And then through that information that's constantly being fed at you, you can't decipher for yourself what you like and what you don't like, because you're being told and you're watching people's lives, you know, like people are, you know, vlogging their life and they're only showing you the 1%, the happy moments of their life, the highlighted percent. And you're like, I want that person's life. And then you just fall in all this enviness and all these negative emotions, because like depression even, because you're watching their 1% because that's all they'll show, but you haven't or see the rest of their life. And do you really want what comes with what comes with their life? If you do, then, you know, if you want to be some social media influencer or vlogger or something like that, then pick up the camera and do it. But if you don't, then figure out your own life. You know, put the social media down and start trying new things, explore different ideas. Because only through like trial and error will you find out what interests you and what doesn't. And just lean towards what you're curious in. Like obviously besides like working with my hands, I very much love like psychology, human behavior, fitness, and just like why people do things, and like trying to really obsess over like human development and like human behavior. And that's why I like to do fitness coaching part-time as well, because, you know, talking with people, consulting with them, and just basically having an understanding, guiding them towards their goals is another passion of mine. And that's why I make these videos, to kind of like explain what I've learned through my life, and like what are some of my like tips and tricks and actionable advice that's helped me get into, you know, a version of physical health that I really admire, mentally and physically actually, and some of the ways that you guys can implement it as well, because it's, now that I look back, it's so simple. Just do what most people avoid doing, and then you like don't complain about what you don't have from the work that you're not willing to do, right? Like people will spend so much time complaining and looking at themselves in the mirror. Oh, I'm so fat. And then at the same time, I'm looking at them devour a Big Mac. It's like, if it really bothered you that much, and if you really wanted to make a change, you would stop putting junk in your mouth and then just do the work that's required. But people aren't willing to fight these days. They are not willing to fight for what they want out of this life. And then they're just miserable and depressed. Oh, I don't know, whatever you're sad about that you don't have. Oh, I don't have 1 million followers. Okay, well, it's because you're consuming rather than creating. Oh, I don't have a 6-pack. Well, yeah, because you just devoured an entire pizza. And you didn't go to the gym, you didn't do your steps, you're not in a calorie deficit, you're sitting all day, you're eating processed food and junk, and you didn't, you know, go hit some PRs or go for a walk, like get some vitamin D from the sun. Just change your habits, change your actions, because it's so easy to look back at your habits and kind of see where and which way the correlation of your life is going to go, depending on what you do on a day-to-day basis. So if you're confused on what you want out of life, try a bunch of things. Clarity will come with time and age. It's easier said now, but if I was like, telling my 16 to 18 year old self, actually 16 to 18 year olds, I was so oblivious. I was just playing video games, getting high, and not worrying about anything. Usually the most confusing years of your life are 20 to 25. Like, those are the years where you're just like, what the hell am I doing with my life? What am I supposed to do? Future this, future that. And then, as you try different things, as you, meet different people, as you work different jobs, then you get clarity. And then once you have clarity, it's your responsibility to work towards that clarity so that at least at the end of the day, you can die happy knowing that you've tried and done everything to reach X goal. Because then maybe it was just like not in your physical capabilities. Like, if you're 5'1" and one of your goals is to dunk on a 10-foot net, you try, you've given yourself 3 to 5 years, and then you're just like, okay, I've done everything. This is clearly not for me, but at least I could say I've tried and I've fought for it. And then you can sleep peacefully at night, not stressing about, oh, I wonder how it would feel like dunking. Or is it possible? Yeah, you get the point. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with this last message. Fight for what you want. Figure out what you want and then fight for it to the death. Because anything worth having in this life, whether it's your girl, whether it's the money, whether it's the career, whether it's the body, is going to require a lot of sacrifice and fight. But it's worth it. I love you guys. Create more than you consume. Serve others. Love everyone. Subscribe if you're new. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.